That's a good one too. That's what you like to see. Come here, buddy. Golly. That one. You know, every time I see rocks, I'm just drawn to them. You tie in a little deep water access next to them on a lake that's low like that, and it's just a great place for fish to set up and be ready to ambush.
Low water levels. It's something that occurs on most bodies of water across the country at some point throughout the year. Whether it's due to a winter drawdown, extensive drought, or because the lake is a water source for farmers or surrounding communities, lakes experience fluctuations in water level. On this episode of the Bass Pro Shop's Fisherman's Handbook, we'll take a look at how to fish bodies of water that are significantly lower than normal.
Low water bass fishing situations. You know, in some cases it can be a little frustrating because there's no cover. So you've got to adapt and adjust to whatever the fish are going to adapt and adjust to. And I've seen situations where lakes have dropped 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet when you deal with lakes like Amstead and Falcon in South Texas. You know, 5, 10 feet in lakes like a Rayburn or Toledo Bend in East Texas would come to mind, and only 1 or 2 feet in some constant level lakes. But each one of those, the fish is going to have to adapt, and you as the fisherman have to figure out where, why, and how to catch them in those situations. Oh, there's one right there. I don't even know what that fish came off of. It was a drop off or something right there, I guess. Just kind of setting up. Kind of there. Now we're going to take a picture of it, baby. Just covering a little water back here.
A challenging way to fish also is when water gets really low. I've always kind of liked to fish really low water. You know, when you have really high water, the fish really scatter. When it's really low water, the fish seem to congregate.
When you get a lake that gets drawn down a lot, it's kind of common sense. It sucks all them fish down to a smaller area. It's just like if you got a 50-gallon bathtub versus a 2-gallon bathtub, you put a bass in there, it's gonna be easier to find him in that 2-gallon bathtub. Same way with a lake.
Got that one. Little guy. Let's see if I get smooth drag right there. That's probably what bit our other 2 times right there. You can see the water line actually right there on that bridge embankment. And water's down. I mean, this just looks like a perfect spot to get a lot of fish coming through and picking up a bait. Really, really expect to catch a big one right through here though. But so far our bites have been fairly small because we haven't got a hook in them. But hopefully that'll change in just a second, you know, and you can find any kind of good cover in the water. A lot of times when the water's low, you can catch a lot of them off that cover. That didn't exactly pan out there, but it was a bite.
We've reached our first break in the action. On the other side, we'll continue to talk about fishing in low water conditions. Stay tuned to hear which types of baits these pros prefer to throw when water levels drop.
We know if you found one crappie, you may have found 1,000. We know the joy of getting your boots back in the mud. We know the journey can be more rewarding than the destination. We know the great outdoors. We love the great outdoors. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Stop by today for huge savings on the gear you need and the brands you trust. Plus free 2-day shipping at basspro.com and cabela's.com.
Groundbreaking designs, unsurpassed quality, and unshakable confidence. Welcome to the Ranger Z500 and Z100 series. Leading the industry for over 50 years, these rigs are custom crafted and loaded with more features and advantages to deliver the ultimate ownership experience. The legendary Ranger Z series. Unleash next level performance.
Yamaha Outboards. Reliability starts here.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Garmin. Fight your fish, not your fish finder. and by Yamaha Marine. Reliability starts here.
You know, if you start looking at a lake that the plug's been pulled and the water's dropped a lot, the water quality can become a problem that causes the fish not to be as healthy or aggressive, and you know, it can be really tough fishing. But on the flip side of that, if you can figure out where those fish are setting up and how they're feeding and why they're feeding, it can be some of the best bass fishing you can ever imagine. See those little laydowns up there on that sandy bank. This water being down, visible cover. No other visible cover down this bank. It's good to just stop, run a bait down that square bill, flip a jig, throw a little bitty spinner bait through there, and see if you can't catch one. Fish not 5 feet slack in line. You know, when you look at a low water fishing situation, it can be as simple as finding isolated logs and figuring out how they're set up on those isolated logs. It can be finding the last bits of grass, no matter how deep or shallow it is, to unlocking the key to catching fish.
If the water's low and I know I need to fish shallow, I'm looking for anything in the water. Maybe one log, maybe one dock that's a little deeper than the others. Anything when the water is really, really low, those fish are gonna go to it.
Typically for me, when the lake is down, I kind of like that because what happens is there's limited cover. So generally what cover is in the water, say it's a boat dock or there's a laydown, when there's 1,000 laydowns on a bank, you got to fish most of them to find out where the fish is. When there's one, you know where that fish is going to be.
There's one. Better fish this time. Get out of that brush over there. I see you going that way. You know, in these docks right now, normally you'd put 4 or 5 more feet of water on there. You couldn't fish them the way I'm fishing them right now, covering water. You'd have to skip something underneath what little cover or what little area you'd have available to fish. And years ago, I kind of got into a deal like this on Texoma, throwing a crankbait down docks like this when the water was low, and I just kind of keep it in my arsenal. And since I wasn't getting any bites, I thought I'd just cover water and crank a little bit. And right here, I've obviously got something. I think it's probably this wind coming around this point where the bridge is right here, and just kind of funneling some bait fish and better fish around it, because we had 4 or 5 bites. Nothing big, but definitely getting a few bites. And we're able to kind of fish it with a crankbait, which is really not how most people would normally fish a dock, but it is definitely a way that when the water's low, or even if it's high, you can crank out in front of it and some of the stuff like that. But right now, I'm actually throwing it all the way up to the rocks underneath them. Square bill central. Bait fish up there on the bank. Gotta be a fish right there.
The best advice I can give a weekend angler when they're confronted with low water situations is cover a lot of water with a crankbait.
There's one coming at me. I don't know what it is. Might be a big one. Pretty good one. Oh, come on, fish. Man, I mean, he's choked on that one. On those rocks, you can see that water level about 4 feet. He ate that one all the way down. Come here, fish. Oh, yeah. That's a good one right there. And then boom, that bite that you like to have. All right. You go back in there, buddy. He ate it pretty good right there. Get those back pretty fast, see if we can't catch another one. You know, when you're running down the bank or running down the lake, either one, whether you're fishing or you're on the big motor and you just see something that looks good, pull over and fish it. It didn't take you very long. I mean, that's trusting those instincts. I was actually pulling over to fish this set of rocks here the way the wind's blowing in on it. As we got closer, I noticed that this had a lot of depth on it. Outside edge. I'd throw that crankbait right down the edge of it. That's the end result.
I would say when the lake is low, 10 foot low or so, you're usually going to be using treble hook baits. You know, baits that you can cover water because there's not anything, you know, on the bank to get hung up in. There's no flipping, no bushes, not a lot of docks. So you're going to be covering a lot of water.
To me, a crankbait is one of the best ways to fish in shallow conditions because I like hard targets. I like hardwood, I like rock, and that's a great scenario for a crankbait. Because the water's low, there's not going to be a lot of the cover, so it's easy to find those areas. But cover water with a crankbait and you'll catch more fish.
Golly, he hit me with like all the line I have out is what's out right now. I'm ripping it on the edge of this drop off. And he's not but about 1.5 pounds, but he's 1.5 pounds of meanness. That's awesome. Those little crankbaits, they will hunt them up. Go back in there, man, you're a healthy bass. He ain't crushed it with not a lot of line out. Just where I kept thinking I ought to catch one here. I actually stopped on this morning feeling like, man, this just looks perfect spot to catch a bass. Big old long underwater point that comes way out here. Normally would have a lot of water on it. It doesn't have much on it right now. There's a little line of coontail right out there that he was probably laying up in, and that SPRO Little John came by wiggling and wobbling, and he thought he had dinner. He'll find something else to eat in here in a minute.
Time for another break. We've talked about fishing shallow and the types of cover to look for. When we return, we move out offshore and show you how to locate bass that have pulled off the bank to more stable conditions.
You sons of fishes. Ain't enough fish on this lake for 2 clubs.
Really? Well, we see plenty of fish live with Panoptics.
Yep. Dang, we should get Panoptics. Maybe we'll just take yours.
What's going on here? You boys have license?
Yes, sir.
Nope. There he is.
Oh, I got it.
At the pinnacle of super high output, 4-stroke outboard performance, you'll find Yamaha VMAX SHO, Yamaha's game-changing SHO technology. From exhilarating V6 models to the sleek inline 4s, there's a VMAX SHO for everything from bass to bonefish. It's an extended family of 4-strokes engineered for lightweight, inspiring performance, and rock-solid reliability. Discover VMAX SHO and elevate your expectations.
We demand a lot from the products that we use on our adventures around the world. When it comes to keeping things seriously cold, we rely on Angle Coolers, who have for over 50 years kept things cold. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Ranger Boats, still building legends, one at a time. Engel, the original high-performance cooler. Sunline America, the strength to guarantee your confidence. And by Wiley X, absolute premium protection. Welcome back to the Bass Pro Shop's Fisherman's Handbook. We're taking a look at how to attack a body of water that is experiencing lower than normal lake levels. Let's move out from the bank now, head offshore, and explain the role that Garmin electronics can play in these scenarios.
One thing you can always do, especially when a lake's falling, is use your electronics to figure out how deep the fish are. Idle around on the points or whatever you need to and see where the fish are.
Let's say we're not fishing the bank or something like that, what you can look at on your mapping, you'll look for the contour lines.
Basically what we're looking at is so that I can identify the different water levels that are, basically making up this big pocket. The big long green line, it's basically like a long finger coming all the way out. That's this little ridge at the top on the side of it. And then the red next to it is the next line that I've got set up, which is only a 3-foot difference to the yellow, to the next green, to the orange, to the blue. And basically what that does, when I look at that with a quick glance, I can tell immediately. I I've got shallow, no water on those docks in front of me. I've got a long point going out to the main lake, dropping off, and then different contour lines. You know, that's just a quick way to set up and adjust your map to match the current lake level. This may be a good one here. That's another good one right there. Look at him, come up there, big boy. Got him skiing in now. That's awesome. The lead shaker is right in the top of the head where you want it. That's awesome. A cool combo right there. I mean, he crushed it. Kept waiting to make sure he was there the whole time, and he was right out of the bat. That is too fun. These are a bunch of fish just moving up out of that deep water. I'm gonna get right back out there again. You know, the whole, you can see on my GPS, I've got lines and waypoints and everything out here over and over to kind of mark this little spot. But how I found it is the depth shading. You can see all the different colors, and it really makes everything stand out so that I can find that where that little point is actually coming up, and those fish are coming up on top of that point to feed.
If you're a guy that is really fluent with your electronics, that is what you want, because it takes docks, usually docks, trees, and things like that off the bank. I mean, it takes that out of play. It puts everything in our house under the, you know, the eyes of the electronics, and that's where I become the most successful. They cannot hide anywhere. I can idle over them, you know, with clear view, and once I get there, the ability to be able to catch them on live scope just makes it simple. And when the lake gets low, they can't hide. You need to be idling, looking for, you know, underwater points, drains, you know, depending on the time of the year, and just be really fluent with your electronics.
Get up here. Boat flip one is a little bit too big, maybe the boat flip. We got him in there. God, look how light colored that fish is right there. He just loaded up on that bait right there. Smoked it pretty quick. You know, we're just covering a lot of water today, which is, you know, what you got to do. I'm actually out here about 13, 14 foot of water right now, and was dragging an old lead shaker around with a big bite bass crawl on the back and just pulling it real fast along that rough bottom. And boom, boom, boom. Hopefully we can pop another one really quick.
Coming up after the break, we conclude this episode dedicated to dissecting how to fish in low water conditions. In these scenarios, it's a good idea to pay close attention to the bank and cover around you. Find out why next.
You know that guy that's always bringing in big ones from offshore? He's got secret lures. That guy that can pull out his spinning rod and start catching them when you can't buy a bite. He's got secret lures. What about that guy that can follow you down the bank and catch what you left behind? He's got secret lures.
Oh, he's a good one.
If you're ready to be that guy, get your secret lures today at secretlures.com.
When you spray on a layer of Sawyer's permethrin insect repellent, you've just sprayed on adventure. Sawyer, we keep you outdoors.
Probably one of the #1 questions I get, you know, what line do I use?
That's a big debate. For every tour out there, everybody's debating which line.
I choose the simple side. My choice of line is Sunline.
One of my favorite lines to use is Sunline.
How all can you use it? Anywhere you want to. Anywhere there's water and bass, it's good. Walleye, catfish, trout,
speckled trout, sharks. There we go. I don't say this unless I think it's true, but honestly, it's the best in the market.
The Fisherman's Handbook is brought to you in part by Sawyer Products. We keep you outdoors. Secret Lures. The secret is out. And by Power Pole Total Boat Control. Another benefit to fishing low water lakes is that the drop in water level exposes different types of cover and structure that you wouldn't know where there were if the lake were full. This presents a great opportunity for you to learn more about that particular body of water, as well as mark waypoints to come back and try when the conditions set up better for that particular spot.
Getting pretty shallow in here. Yeah, you can pull in here and look and learn and see stuff you may have never known existed. You look at these little rocks right up here coming off this sand into this pocket. You put 5 more feet of water right there and you got a spot that's gonna produce some fish. And you know, now is really a time to come in here and throw a waypoint, label it rocks, so you kind of know what was there. It's easy to think you'll remember that stuff, but a lot of times you don't. But that's a perfect example of good fish catching habitat at the right time of the year. There's one. Oh, he's mad. He saw the boat and he got mad. You can see the lowness. I mean, actually the hazard buoys are laying on their side right there. You can see the stumps and everything. You can look at it even on the map and you can tell how low it is. And there's just a little scattered grass out there. We're just cranking that little bait right down the end, trying to get a few bites. And at the same time learning, you know, as far as future fishing trips in the exact same location. How does it lay out? I mean, you see all these stumps right here. Can you imagine on a little summer morning bringing a big old walking bait or a popper and throwing them along the top of it? Probably get some pretty good bites. You know, when the water gets low, a lot of times you'll come down a stretch of bank that you fished for years, especially on lakes that you've got history on, and all of a sudden you'll see new laydowns, new rocks. It just the entire lake or river or whatever takes on a different look, a different dynamic, and the fish are going to set up different. But you know, it's not like they're going to swim 20 miles to find a new place to set up. They're going to be in that same general area, and you may be expanding on your favorite fishing spot by finding all these new places to catch them. There's one. Mean and mad. Hitting it with not much line out. Wow. Yeah, we were literally just remarking all the riprap. That stuff all that rock, you wouldn't even know it was there. You know, if you were new to this body of water and the lake was a normal pool, you wouldn't even have any inclination or idea that water was there. That's why it's so important to get out here. It's got messed up too. And learn that if you live on lakes like this, because now you know where to go throw a crankbait down when the water's high, because you couldn't see that normally. Wouldn't you have any idea?
In conclusion, fishing lakes with low water levels can be very rewarding. You as the angler can catch a lot of bass, as well as learn plenty of new things about a given fishery. Thanks for watching this episode of the Bass Pro Shop's Fisherman's Handbook, and good luck out on the water.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
for precise prescription eyewear. Wiley X knows there's no room for error. We meticulously craft our own prescription lenses to fit our high-wrap frames. And our ANSI safety-rated lenses are tested to uncompromising standards. Nothing but precise. Because precision is everything.
You know, when I look at the tournaments I've won, probably 4 or 5 of the boats that I've won have been on a tube. But I'd completely gotten away from flipping a tube because nobody made one soft enough.
Big Bite has come with this new tour series of baits. The thing that's probably the most unique is when you look at that bait, the salt just rolls out of it. And to me, that is the reason a fish bites a tube and hangs on to it. This isn't one of those let's go out and catch some smallmouth tube. This is a let's get it done tube.